Nah, I don't need to watch the rest of it. I watched it yesterday. Zou Shiming is not, put it this way. He's stuck in amateur format. It's like when you go to his difficulty settings, if you go to his attributes, it just says amateur still. He hasn't gotten to the world championship level. The way he fights, there's no urgency, it's the same pace, and it's just something missing. So he was defeated in China by decision. Now we're going to get to that, by a fighter by the name of, now let me not mess his name out, Amnat Ruenroeng. Amnat. We're going to call him Amnat Ruenroeng. And we're going to leave that. I forgot what gym he's from. And it's crazy because I literally, in 2014, all the way up until January 2015, we've been seeing nothing. If you've been watching a lot of boxing, Thai fighters getting beat up from the Cotai gym, from the One Song Chai gym, literally getting beat down on, to whereas in we finally got a guy, and I actually got a chance to watch some tape on him, some fights on him. I binge watched about 4 fights on him, and I said, oh, Zou Shiming fighting this guy? This guy's going to beat, Zou Shiming up. Now, he didn't beat him up, but what he did was he fired the crisp, more solid punches. He outboxed him, and also his punches meant more. And Zou Shiming never adjusted. And even with the big right hands, and I'm talking about a big right hand, you heard him, that Zou Shiming was throwing. As I said during the Google Hangout, is that he fights with and throws with the power of a declawed kitten. It's just not there. And fighting in those lower weight divisions, if you're not going to go Chinese school of boxing on people, and I'm talking about whatever school that is, I mean, you gotta put on magnificent boxing displays, magnificent defensive displays, even if fans say you're born, whatever the case may be. Chinese fans, boxing fans are very loyal. He's got to figure out what he is, because you'll see, for example, when he fought, I forgot who the last guy he fought from the One Song Chai gym. You see that he was in a tough fight, but he tries to be a power puncher when I don't know when he should be a boxer. And I don't know if it's because he's with Freddie Roach, I don't know. But now, after this defeat, they got to work on who he is. He's got to go out there and start outboxing these guys. If he's going to fight with that amateur style, he's got to go out there in that amateur aggression. He's got to go out there and he's got to be amateur all the way. Now he's not going to be a boring fighter, because the fans over there, Chinese fans, they're not all up and loud and everything. They just be sitting there watching the fight. So, and it's just, different cultures. There's nothing wrong with that. So they're there to see him box, him for the audience that they're appealing to. And this guy brings so much to the Chinese economy, to the audience that they're appealing to. They don't need him to be going out there trying to knock guys out, especially if that's not him. So him meaning Ruenroeng. I'm going to just read it, and I'm going to read it slow, and I'm going to take my time. Amnat Ruenroeng. Amnat Ruenroeng. I'm going to be covering this guy more, so I got to get it right. I'm going to get it right eventually, This is the first video. Yeah, I'm going to get it right. But when you look at guys like Roman Gonzalez, when you look at like Mastrada, when you look at Brian Valoria, I think, well, how would I match Zou Shiming up against those guys? And remember, if you know me, I don't really cover fights this low, even though I covered Paul Butler before. And I look at, by the way, Michael Zuliatite, he knocked out Paul Butler, mean uppercut. If you look at like the level these guys are at, it seems as though when I try to match Zou Shiming up against these guys, I got Zou Shiming taking some defeats. So right now, I understand that he's 34 years old. I understand that he's 6-1 with just 1 KO. Uno. Solo. So this is, like he's swimming on a deep end now. Now, will he go for the rematch? Yes. If he goes for, in my opinion, he should go for the rematch, because it's a fight that he can win. They just gotta make some adjustments. But you know, if you didn't watch the fight, it's on. It should be on YouTube by now or somewhere. The story of Ruenroeng. We getting there. I can't do it twice though. It's simply amazing. He's one of those guys, you know, like that turned his life around. He used to be a criminal, a petty thief, you know, and the guy's only 5'4", multiple stints in jail, you know, and now look, he's going to people's backyards, getting big, significant wins, upsetting. And if you're an American, you don't understand, but upsetting a Chinese superstar sensation in Zou Shiming. I'm talking about Shiming over there is a superstar. You know, he wasn't just in Transformers for nothing, but what's next? You know, he's supposed to return in June, and that's crazy. I believe in June or July, Zou Shiming, they already got him lined up. So will it be a rematch or another fight, you know, just to get back and then go back after the rematch again, you know, especially after Bob Arum worked his magic to get him up there, you know, after just 6 wins with 1 KO to a title shot, you know, and that's magic within itself. We didn't even talk about that. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, was he exposed? I'm not necessarily going to say that. Remember, he's 6-1 with 1 KO. People were saying that Vasyl Lomachenko was exposed. No, he just got taken to school and he got christened to the point where I feel that fight with Orlando Salido was worth, as I said, like 10 Gay Russell Jr. opponents, or it was like 10 extra fights added on to Vasyl Lomachenko's career because he learned so much and had to go through so much in that fight, fighting a bigger guy. You know, fighting a guy that was fighting dirty. You know, fighting a guy that, was there drug testing? We probably don't even know. I'm sure there was, but I don't trust Orlando Salido. Just my own personal opinion. I'm sorry. But he had to overcome adversity, overcome the odds to whereas in now maybe Zou Shiming will learn a lot from this defeat. So I'm not calling him exposed. I'm just saying, you know, you can see where there's room for improvement, basically. And the fight was nasty. It was slamming each other all over the place and everything. T-Street Controversy from RealCombatMedia.com. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.